Hey Internet, Eric here. Well, Fright Friday is finally back. The Horror Freak 85 has returned to YouTube. He's brought back Fright Friday. What it is every Friday he he picks a concept for the channel, or he has one of those randomizers on his phone. Bunch of categories, hits a button, spins around, and you have to pick a horror movie to choose to participate that falls into said category. Kind of like Slashback Saturday, but this week's category is Don't Lose Your Head. And this is a fun one. Basically, it's pick a horror movie where there's a decapitation or a head explosion or just someone loses their head. And I knew exactly what movie I was going to pick um, for this category, The Return of Fright Friday. Today's movie I'm going to discuss is Chopping Mall. Now, this came out in 1986. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Plot spoilers, specific scenes, all that jazz. Basic plot of this one is there's one, two, three, four groups of couples, teens. I don't know if they're high school seniors, fresh into college, out of college, what have you. And they are hauled up at the mall for a night of debauchery and partying. The same night that the mall security system has implemented um, robot security guards. And these robot security guards have ways of, how would you say, neutralizing thieves, be it uh, knockout darts, lasers that shoot out of their visors, and among other things. And of course, lightning it strikes, and it causes these robots to come to life and attack anyone it deems should not be in the mall. Um, God, I love this movie. Lots of fun. I saw it for the first time a couple years ago, and then I rewatched it a handful of months ago. Podcast I used to be on, and then I rewatched this again just for this video, just because I remember how much I loved it. So much fun. First off, acting, character wise, no one's really that memorable. We got a couple memorable names. We got Kelly Maroney. She plays the lead. I guess she was in Night of the Comet, which I've never seen. I know my mom really loved that movie, but she plays, I guess you would say, the lead girl, the good girl, the one who gets stuck with the nerd. Um, she's very likable. Saves the day when she needs to save the day. Show up the men when she needs to show up the men. So she does her thing. The only other name, character wise, not counting Dick Miller, is what the fuck is her name? Barbara Crampton. Uh, she plays the other blonde. She plays, well, there's two other blondes. She plays another blonde. Likable, I guess. Okay. Nothing special. The men, nothing special. They're just there to be victims for the killbots, I guess you would call them. But they're not horrible characters. There's some stereotypical characters, goofy. I wouldn't say, sex charged, but they just want to get laid type of guy characters. But they're not overly annoying. So they fit in this movie. They do what they need to do, and it's not ad nauseum. Now, I mentioned Dick Miller. Dick Miller is in this movie. I fucking love Dick Miller. He's in this movie because it was produced by Julie Corman, who I believe is Roger's wife. Now, Dick Miller got his start in Roger Corman films. It's cool that Kelly Maroney and the nerd Ferdy, which I'm assuming is short for Ferdinand, while the other it's a fucking hilarious scene. Let's set up the scene first. You got, they're all in this furniture store, I guess, is where they're gonna all bang. And first couple, you got one guy laying there, and his girl comes out in this sexy underwear, bra and panty suit or combo. Looks beautiful, looks hot, fantastic body, and they do a little bit of a flirty thing. You buy it, and then she jumps on him, and they start rolling around. Then we go to the couch, and that was a dark-haired chick. Okay, then you go to the couch, and we have Barbara Crampton, and she's making out with her boyfriend, and then he looks at her, and he says, "You smell like pepperoni." And it's a funny scene. She gets all disgusted, and she walks away, but then he says, "But I like pepperoni." And of course that swoons her, and she drops her top, and they go make out. And then you got the third couple where literally you just see the man under under the blankets, his ass is in the air. You know, he's obviously going down on the girl. And she says, I don't allow that. Well, you allowed it last week, and that type of thing. So that's goofy. So you got the three couples getting ready to bang. And then you cut to Kelly Maroney watching TV with the nerd, because that's what they do to bond. They're watching a Roger Corman movie. I think it's called He Conquered the World, starring Dick Miller, a very young Dick Miller. You can't fucking recognize him. I recently watched X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes. A young Dick Miller's in that. Holy shit. It doesn't look like Dick Miller. But anyways, he plays the janitor, the night janitor in this moon. He plays Walter Paisley, which is a character he's played, I think, 4 or 5 times. He's just a grumpy old bastard, dies a fun death, gets electrocuted with force lightning, type effects. So overall, the characters are fun. They do their part. There's in the very beginning of the movie, it starts off with this commercial, which is kind of like RoboCop. In that the movie starts with a commercial, and it just shows what the robots can do, and it's this big. I guess you just say. Well, not display, but you got the head guy just saying what the killbots can do, even though they're not called killbots. And you got these two people in the crowd kind of heckling him. They kind of remind me of the two old men in the Muppet Show. But it's fun. It starts the movie off really, really fun. The killbots, I love the look of them, how generic they look. You can't really see it too well here. Just how boxy they look, how cheap they look. I love the cheesy effects, the cheap effects. The laser effects shooting out looks so bad. But it's followed by this fun sound effect. It just makes the movie fun. I mean, you know what you're getting into going and watching a movie called Choppy Mall about killer security robots. So that's a lot of fun. I think this came out the same year as Short Circuit. So it's fun how that and Short Circuit, both of these robots, of course, are brought to life through a fucking lightning storm. So I like that. Gore is pretty good. We have some neck snaps. We have some fake throat rippings. We have a really cool effect. Barbara Crampton gets shot, and as she's crawling away, she does eventually get set on fire. And it's a really good fire effect. I don't know how long this stunt person was on fire in flames, but looked really, really good. But since the category was called Don't Lose Your Head, we have to give props to the other blonde. She's the one that, was complaining about the guy going down on her. She has got the best head explosion scene that I've ever seen. A lot of people say Scanners is great. Scanners is too over the top for me. Because you got, of course it looks good. You got that build up in Scanners. Michael Ironside doing his Scanners thing. The guy's head literally, but you got all this gore. So much gore that it wouldn't fit in the head. You got the front of the face flopping over. As great as that looked, I love Chopping Mall's head explosion a lot more because of this. First off, you got the hot chick. Now she's got some of the worst boobs in the movie. Because, there's the saggy implant boobs. But she's beautiful. And then when we see her, she's looking for her man who went to go get her some cigarettes and was killed by a killbot. So she's walking around in just a nightie and very tight panties. And we get a lot of close-up shots of her butt, so it's very sexual. And then she's getting chased by this killbot. She's getting shot as she's running away. So she gets shot in the shoulder. I think she gets shot in the ass while she's doing it. And then, what makes this even better is she turns around, and then we get this laser shot out, and she's staring at the camera, and suddenly her head just explodes, like, out of nowhere. Beautiful, great effect for a Corman-produced movie, which are cheap as hell. They might have saved money because of advertising is nothing but Roger Corman products. Watching the movie, there's a scene in the mall where it's Roger Corman type movie posters like Saturday the 14th and a couple other things in the background. This head explosion effect is beautiful, it's wonderful, it's oh shit, it's out of the, just out of nowhere. My wife was watching this with me, and she goes, whoa, she didn't expect that. And what's cool is when this movie ends, they do what I like to call the '90s TV show credit sequence. Like they do with Predator and Scream. They show the person with the character that they played, or as the at least the person. They say their name, and then when we get to this blonde actress, they show that clip of the movie where her head explodes and it shows her name. Fantastic. So the gore is when it needs to be. It's really good. Soundtrack is some synth, 80s synth, and that's about it. I can't remember any 80s songs, but that's fine. There's some good comedy. I really like the opening the opening credit sequence because it's life at a mall, and it's done to comedic effect. It's how it's showing the hustle and bustle of the mall of the 1980s. And there's a scene where this poor kid is getting into. There's really no dialogue until the credit sequence is over, and we meet the Barbara Crampton character and the Kelly Maroney character. But there's this scene. This poor kid's got this big ice cream cone, chocolate ice cream cone. He walks into the elevator, and then suddenly all these people going into the elevator. Elevator doors close. Elevator doors open. Everyone runs out, and that poor kid just holding an empty ice cream cone. The ice cream's just all over his fucking body. Someone's trying to steal something from a store with it under his shirt. You see the box there. You got people fighting over an arcade machine. You got a poor waitress trying to carry a thing of Cokes from one place to another, and she's just dodging everybody, getting bumped into, and she doesn't drop the fucking thing until she gets to where she has to go, and then it spills. Dealing with Kelly Maroney and Barbara Crampton as waitresses, where they have to serve the customer behind them that's real touchy feely, and he's a fucking pig. And it's funny, they're talking about how he's a disgusting pig while talking to their manager, who is the chef, who is also smoking a cigarette while making the food, and taking a spatula and wiping it off on his shirt and going back and cooking the food. So stuff like that's pretty funny. Yeah. Great runtime, only 76 minutes, so it flows fast. It's a lot of fun. It's cheesy as hell. I can't think of anything I really don't like about Chopping Mall. I enjoy it the more I watch it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Some cool stunts. And speaking of cheesy, when the men go to the sporting goods store or whatever you would call it, and they get, of course, you can find assault rifles and what else you find there? Find it at a mall. They have this hero's entrance, the slow motion scene of the three of them walking with their weapons. That's fun. I like when the guys can't shoot. Do they have a propane tank or something on one of the elevators to blow up one of the killbots? They can't shoot to hit it, but Kelly Maroney has to come. She saves the day, and she shoots it, and she explains, "Oh, my dad was a Marine." That type of stuff is fun. Yeah, I don't know what I'm missing. Oh, I love how every time the robots kill somebody, they say, "Thank you, have a nice day," because that's what they're programmed to say after they help somebody. So that was fun. And I like how Kelly Maroney says that after she blows up the final killbot in a really good explosion. Yeah, this movie is just a lot of fun. If you haven't seen Chopping Mall, highly recommend it. If you love schlock, if you love cheesy 80s films in general, a lot of fun. Highly recommend Chopping Mall. It's become one of my favorite horror movies over the last handful of months that I've seen it. I've seen it twice, like I said, within the last 6 months. And it's just, I guarantee I'm going to watch it again within the next 6 months and just love it even more. So highly recommend Chopping Mall. That's it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell, all that stuff. Tell me in the comments below if you like this movie, if you hate this movie, if you never fucking heard of this movie, if you like Dick Miller, any of that type of stuff. Check out the Horror Freak 85, his channel. Link in the description below. Feel free to give him a sub, and then pay attention to Fright Friday. It's a fun thing to do. I'm glad he's back. Glad he brought it back. Hell of a lot of fun. Don't know what else to say other than cheers, and thank you. Have a nice day.